Thank you so much, Thung, and thank you, Chris. It's just a real thrill for me to be here. First of all, how are you guys doing? Anybody want to stand up and stretch or anything? It's been a long morning, but a great morning. Well, I'm here to tell you about IDRI, the Infectious Disease Research Institute. And I'm going to tell you about our projects, some of our projects, and I'm going to tell you some stories. I'm going to tell you some stories about our patients, some stories about our people, and some stories about our partners. So at IDRI's mission is really to develop vaccines and diagnostic solutions for global health diseases of impact. And we try to do that in a very holistic approach, meaning we tackle each disease with the idea that if we need to have a diagnostic, we'll try to develop it. If we need a therapeutic, we'll try to develop it in many cases. And if we need a vaccine, we'll try to develop it. We try to use, and I think are very successful at using, very cutting-edge research. This is one of our key senior scientists. But we also focus very strongly on products and applied science. Here are some of our products in clinical trials. We also have diagnostics on the market now and also in field testing. And the result of this, we hope, is the ability to help people like this young girl in Ethiopia who was diagnosed with an IDRI diagnostic by the diagnostic and found to be having the disease cutaneous leishmaniasis, which is a parasitic infection resulting from the bite of a sandfly. With IDRI's diagnostic, we were able to actually get this disease under control very early and treat this wonderful young lady in Ethiopia before things got out of hand. Now, let me tell you a little bit about IDRI. We were formed actually almost 20 years ago, so we're about to have our 20th anniversary. Founded by Steve Reed, who's a pioneering immunologist, still very much with us as our president, founder, and chief scientific officer. We have just over 120 employees now and have a number of prominent funders that we're thrilled with, including the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Allen Foundation, the Murdoch Trust. Last year, I think you heard Dr. John Licklider speak as a keynote here, CEO of Lilly, and Lilly continues to be a very strong supporter of IDRI, and we're very pleased to have this whole group. Now, our big news is that we're moving next year. We're actually moving down to join many of our global health and research partners down in the South Lake Union area. So we'll be inviting you all to come to our open house here in about a year or so. So stay tuned. Put it on your calendar, mid-2013. Now, IDRI has a product platform that I think rivals many biotechnology companies. And as many of you know, I come from the other side of the product development area, the biotech unintentionally not-for-profit arena. So I'm really pleased with this platform of vaccines in clinical trials, diagnostics either on the market or in the clinic, some very exciting product candidates in our TB drug therapy program through the Lilly TB Initiative and the Gates Foundation Accelerator Program, and some very exciting work being done in this area of adjuvants for use in vaccines. And indeed, adjuvants are really the heart of our vaccine and vaccine technology development programs. IDRI has been working for many, many years in the area of adjuvants for use in vaccines and has a very broad platform, probably the world's leading platform in adjuvant formulation technology. And now, if you don't know what adjuvants actually tell the body's immune system to respond to a vaccine. And they also can reduce the cost of vaccines because the use of adjuvants means that you require less antigen protein, which means that the whole vaccine can be made much cheaper. This is a concept called dose sparing, and it's particularly very important in the cases of global health where we want to reduce the prices of those vaccines as much as we can. So we're working hard in the adjuvant area. We also have very distinctive competency in formulation, which is very important. You have to take the specific antigen formulation with the adjuvant formulation and tie them all together so that we can maximize the effectiveness of these vaccines. Now, we have a number of accomplishments at IDRI I'm very proud to talk about. I mentioned the great next generation of adjuvants that we have. We also developed the very first molecularly defined TB vaccine and leash vaccine. So really exciting, very clearly defined vaccine candidates. We also have diagnostic products on the market, as I mentioned, for leishmaniasis and Chagas. So just very proud of the accomplishments that IDRI was able to make in its almost 20 years of existence. You could almost think of us as a not-for-profit biotech company. we really do have a laser-sharp focus on getting drugs and products passed to the goal line. We know we can't do that by ourselves, however, so we're very collaborative. We seek partners, we seek input from other entities. We know that it takes more than just one group to be able to get these products across the goal line. Many of the diseases, if not most of the diseases we work on, really are not top of mind right now in the U.S., but I think that's changing. You see our soldiers coming home from the Middle East with leishmaniasis now. You see with travel and immigration a strong need to screen our blood supply now for many of these parasitic infections that weren't a problem. And in fact, our Chagas disease diagnostic is indeed being used exactly for that purpose. You see now the rise of TB, multi-drug resistant TB, extremely drug resistant TB all over the world, and that's a big problem for us in the U.S. And in the case of our vaccine technology, vaccine adjuvant technology, we're seeing now more of these recombinant vaccines maybe potentially have limited effectiveness, such as we were seeing now in the Washington State with the whooping cough vaccine. So again, it just makes our research more relevant than ever. So we work on a lot of different diseases, but I thought I'd pick two today to talk to you about as really illustrative of what we're doing at IDRI. And the first one is leishmaniasis. And there are many forms of leash. It's a parasitic infection, as I mentioned, that results from the bite of a sandfly. And some forms are less impactful in terms of mortality than others, but it's just a huge disease, and it has a specific, particular impact on children in the world. Now, we wanted to work on leash, and you might wonder how we got involved with it. Well, Steve Reed, who's our founder, as you know, spent his early part of his career in Brazil, and he was in very rural areas where leash was endemic. And he saw the horrible ways that were needed to diagnose this disease. The diagnostic tools were such that kids had to be forcibly held down to have bone marrow biopsies or spleen biopsies. And he knew there had to be a better way. So Steve set his researchers on trying to figure out how to get a good diagnostic for leash. And it was very hard because we needed serum to be able to find the proteins that would be useful in the diagnostic. And we were really kind of stuck. And then we got a call. We got a call from the CDC. And they asked Steve if he could look at some serum from a from a doctor at UCLA who had an unknown parasitic disease and was very, very ill. And so the serum was sent up to IDRI, and IDRI did a lot of work and analyzed it and found out that this researcher from UCLA indeed had leishmaniasis, which he had contracted on a trip to Greece. And so this researcher was very happy to know what he had, and he gave us a lot of blood. And we could use this blood to actually find a lot of antibodies and use those antibodies to identify proteins that we could then use in the diagnostic test. So we developed this diagnostic test, and it's a quick, easy, rapidly read test with just a drop of blood. We developed it, we partnered with several people, but we in particular one group in Brazil, Orange Life. And I'm going to show a little video of Dr. Marcos Calavati, who's our partner here, taking this diagnostic out to very rural Brazil. And he speaks Portuguese, so you have to read the subtitles.
Teve também uma falência, faleceu uma filhinha dele ano passado. Só que depois era revestido. Esse é o pau a pique do Rio.
É aqui que a gente procura os barbeiros.
É aqui que é a casinha dos barbeiros que depois transmite Chagas, né? Aí, não sei se dá pra ver aqui na mão. Tô com uma mordida de algum flebótomo, né? E eu espero que não seja nenhum portador de leishmaniose.
Nós todos aqui que trabalhamos em saúde.
Bom, estamos fazendo um teste aqui diretamente na casa da paciente, dessa cidadão. E esse é um exemplo de como esse teste pode ser útil nas atividades diretamente no campo. Porque aqui não temos energia elétrica, não temos nada, não temos nem água encanada, mas a gente consegue, mesmo assim, fazer um teste de última geração. Né? E conseguimos, agora em 10 minutos, ter o resultado e saber se essa nossa linha...
So for the first time, we could go into these rural villages and really rapidly diagnose a number of patients, and Marcos on that trip diagnosed about 98 people that were potentially sufferers of leishmaniasis. So it was a great day. Now we've gone on and we've, see if I can get this to work. And we've been developing a leishmaniasis vaccine as well, and that is in clinical trials. And then we've also developed a canine leash vaccine. Oops, there we go. I'll let you get back to that slide. The canine leash vaccine, which is very important because canines are carriers of this disease as well. And so we'll be able to launch that product. Okay, can you show that dog? He's a really cute dog. There we go. This is a dog that does not have leishmaniasis, so we're very pleased with that. Okay, I'll take it from here. All right, thanks. Now let's turn to leprosy. So leprosy is a disease most people think, oh, leprosy's gone, and I'm here to tell you it's not. It's a very serious disease that's been with us since biblical times, but still is endemic in many, many areas. And including in the U.S. in 2010, about 38 states reported cases of leprosy. So it's still a huge problem, and we are working hard to overcome this disease. So we've set up a leprosy elimination campaign because we feel we have the tools, together with many of our collaborators, to actually have a major, major impact to end leprosy. And this involves a diagnostic for early detection, a surveillance program working with ministers of health in various countries to really get this tool out there. Early treatment, the treatment regimens are available, but they're somewhat onerous. If we can get in there early, we can make a difference. And then following up with a vaccine candidate. Now, we owe our interest in leprosy to John Dawson. John was a surgeon at Swedish Hospital here in Seattle. He was also a surgeon in the Korean War, and he went back to Korea as a missionary because he saw the ravages of leprosy there and vowed he was going to do something about it. John was on our board for many years, and he really spurred us to get into leprosy. And so we developed a diagnostic test for leprosy for early detection. And on the day, actually, that the test was validated, that we found it to be efficacious or useful, John actually died of leukemia. It was February 7th, 2007. So it started with John, and then it moved to a large group at IDRI. If you're not afraid to click on that box. And as you know, in drug development, it's not just one scientist, it's everybody from discovery through legal that has such an impact on the progress and has such a key role to play in the progress of moving these drugs along. Then we worked with the American Leprosy Mission, so that was the next group really that got involved, a wonderful group that helps fund our work in this area. And then from there we moved to a larger group. We have now over 98 partners, and just a huge effort, as you know, that it takes to get these products moving and to get them disseminated ultimately throughout the world. So, but the number that really matters obviously is 1. And in this case, this is a young girl in China who took part through one of our collaborators in a screening, had no symptoms at all of leprosy, no symptoms, and was found to actually be infected with leprosy. Our diagnostic can detect leprosy as much as a year before clinical symptoms occur. So this was wonderful. We were able to get in there and treat her early before further disease transmission occurred and also before she had any clinical symptoms. So it was a very exciting time for us. So we are in the middle of launching this leprosy elimination campaign. We have a vaccine candidate that will be in field testing, we hope, next year. We're already working on field testing for the diagnostic and making a lot of progress there. So you'll be hearing more about that. And again, if you have the opportunity to eliminate a disease, it's a pretty wonderful thing. We know we can't do this alone, and we are, as I said, highly collaborative. So we look to all of you for input in what we're doing, for advice, for collaborative opportunities, and also if our technology base or our skills and expertise may benefit you, please let us know. We love to partner. We always need funding. We're not for profit, so we always take your money too. And finally, I've talked a lot about the innovation at IDRI, but here are some of the innovators. I work with one of the best research groups out there, and I'm so proud of these people. And I know a number of them are here, and I'd actually like to ask them to stand up, if you wouldn't mind indulging me. So because I really want to thank them. All right, you IDRI people, board members, great people. Thank you. Finally, I'll leave you just with this one picture. This is Dr. Ria Kohler, our head of preclinical biology, who is with a young patient in Ethiopia, a leishmaniasis patient. And I think this says it all. If you can diagnose a disease early, treat it, keep a little boy happy, growing, and strong. Look at the looks on both of their faces. It's a pretty amazing thing. So it's a privilege for me to be working at IDRI. It's a privilege for me to be here today, and I really thank you very much for this opportunity to tell you more. Thanks.